Ode to the wild side in all of us. Thank you. I like this image, biting the world on the ankle, and we feel guilty. Maybe it's okay at times to do it. And now for our last on the list, open mic presenter, please welcome Jerry. Any engineers here? Okay.
I haven't been here in a couple of years and haven't written a poem in a couple of years, but an event happened just a little over a week ago that literally forced me to write a poem. Now, I'm going to have to apologize before I say this poem because I've taught science and mathematics, and of course, therefore I love numbers, and most poets are terrified of numbers. So I'm warning you in advance, there will be a lot of numbers in here, but I think they tell you something. They burned down paradise, and the world barely noticed. They burned down paradise, the world barely noticed. 27,000 homeless, 250,000 evacuated, and 20 million on evacuation alert in California. From the desert, hot, dry Santa Ana winds blow over the Sierra Nevada mountains. Fire tornadoes incinerate paradise in a single day. 79 dead, 1,276 missing. Only bones and fragments found. Scientists scream the intense dryness and violent winds signal global warming. The world barely notices. Fort McMurray burns, the oil rigs return. The world barely notices. Summer cruise ships sail the Arctic to see ice and polar bears disappear. The world barely notices. Lennox Island First Nation Reserve disappearing beneath the Gulf of St. Lawrence waves. The world barely notices. All of Australia becoming the outback. The world barely notices. The Amazon, lungs of the world, drying and dying. The world barely notices. That's Bolsonaro's business. Micronesia, Fiji, Tonga, Maldives, Palau, Kiribati, Solomon Islands, nations disappearing beneath the waves. The world barely notices. Quebec summer bakes 93 to death. The world barely notices. 30,000 fried to death in a 2003 European summer. The world barely notices. Syria at war for 7 years. The world barely notices and ignores how global warming helped drought drive the conflict. Increased cyclones, rising seas, droughts displaced millions of Bangladeshis. India replies with a 2,544-kilometer wall where 900 migrants are shot and die. The world barely notices. Indian glaciers melt. The holy drinking water of 1.2 billion people, the sacred Ganges drying and dying, the world barely notices.